KeyDigital webinar series. So, as you are well aware, the hot buzz term in distributed video and video products is Ultra HD, 4K, HDCP 2.2. This is the buzz, isn't it? For better or for worse, this is the buzz, the brilliant thing of HD and Ultra HD rather than 4K is the image just looks amazing, of course. And now, though, we enter the second generation, if you will, of 4K video. And this new generation of 4K video comes with HDCP 2.2 encryption, so a new level of copyright protection that we have to concern ourselves with on your 4K, your new 4K sources, or your sources that are encrypted with this HDCP 2.2 protection that you'll want to know about. Now, KeyDigital, we've been delivering 4K products in just about every single product category for a long time. Even our ultra affordable switchers and distribution amplifiers of the Champion series, our Digital IQ HD Light matrices were our first matrix family to deliver that. And so where there's still quite a few companies out there yet to deliver on their 4K products, sure, they've been talking about it for some time, but have they really delivered? KeyDigital's been doing this for going on 2 years now, in fact, since the Digital IQ matrices were released. And now, across our entire product line, we have 4K Ultra HD covered, and we're releasing more and more products with 2.2 protection. So we're going to go, our support and compliancy, we're going to go over that with you. So across our whole product line, complete system delivery. In brief, we're going to take a quick moment just to remind you what all these product categories are and what they deliver, because you, the integrator, walk into a project and you don't know what's in the middle yet. That's why I've rewound the presentation here, to just show you what you do know upon your initial walkthrough of your client's job site. You know the content they want to push, right? You know the sources, perhaps, that will be the sources for that content. You know the displays and or the zones in which those displays will be going. And your end user may even know what those sources, contents, and displays are. And you know, in this room we'd like to have a projector. In this room we want to have a big television, etc., etc. And it's up to you to deliver that full system behind the scenes. And this is where KeyDigital has always lived. Not something that typically is in the eye of the end user, of course, with exception to our compass control system now for going on 3.5 years now. But all of our video products, hardware, lives behind the scenes. So if you need a system where you have many sources like this does and many displays, and you'd like any of those sources to be viewable at any time and in any combination on any of those displays, you know you go with a matrix switcher like we have there in the center, the centerpiece of this multi-zone video switching and distribution system. Or in the top, or excuse me, the bottom right, where we have a single feed coming into a distribution amplifier, your client might tell you, I have multiple displays and they all need to show the same thing at the same time. You could do that by adding a larger matrix switcher, or you could use, of course, a distribution amplifier. In the top left, we have multiple signals. At this specific job, they said we have 2 plugins for the laptop, but only one of them is going to be used at any given time. So what do? We feed those 2 plugins into our switcher, and then we feed that over extenders like we're going to be going over today. Number 4, converting analog to digital video, especially in the commercial projects. This is still very much a need, and we satisfy that with our VCS 500. Audio extraction. You're going to be introduced today to an extender a few extenders which feature audio de-embed, we call it, audio de-embed. And it's really important. Why? Because a lot of times you in the field only have an HDMI port to work with. However, you need to break analog or digital audio out of that, and you need audio de-embed feature to do so. We sell external boxes for that, or like I said, you'll be seeing that feature in some of the products today. And number 6 is what we're here to talk about, extension products that extend HDMI, video, audio, control, and more all over cat wire, because cat cable is everywhere. It's easy to work with. It's versatile. So you're going to get the rundown of our full family of extenders today. And in the old days where we used to be very happy to send people to the way of our partners, major control systems out there, we now have our own control system offering as well. And let me tell you, we're very happy to still recommend you use these other major control systems out there. And that's one of the beautiful things about KeyDigital. If you're successful with your control system, keep using it. If you want a new control system to maybe separate yourself from a lot of competition, and you want a system that's extremely flexible, where you can essentially make, if you ever wanted to make your own AV control app, that's where our Compass control system comes in, with the custom GUI development, or with drag and drop programming through our modular programming method, and of course the HDMI cables as well. We make them all the way up to 75 feet. So it's important for us to go over what makes these products plug and play. These new HDMI extenders, HDBaseT products that you're going to be seeing today. So we got to talk about the technology first. Why? Because you're going to see a wide variety of extenders. And these are all from the HDBaseT technology, which, to be 100% honest, that is a third-party technology, and everybody out there in the AV world is using HDBaseT. So what makes KeyDigital products different from the others? Well, you're going to see all of the safety nets, the tools, troubleshooting mechanisms that we have built into the products that you'll learn about today, so that when you roll out the van, you only have to roll it out once. You don't have to return because you have an HDMI handshaking issue. And that's all due to KeyDigital's one key is all you need, plug and play philosophy and implementation. For going on 10 years now, we've been developing HDMI switching and distribution products, extension products that have always recognized that HDMI is not just a video and audio signal. The video and audio is one of the 3 layers, but the other 2, EDID and HDCP, are what complete that formula. Now, TMDS stands for Transition Minimized Differential Signal. Don't worry, you don't have to get the pen and paper out on this. It stands for Transition Minimized Differential Signal, but what it means is the video and audio layer of your HDMI signal. Now, here's the thing. We're talking about extenders. We're going to give you tools that will allow you to extend video and audio, HDMI, 1080p, for example, up to 600 feet, or 4K over 100 meters. It's not all short-length HDMI connections, is it? Wouldn't life be great if it was just source to display 6-foot HDMI cable? That's not the world that you live in, nor is it the world that KeyDigital lives in. And so every one of our products that you see today, and if I'm not mistaken, our entire product line of hardware as well, all feature reclocking. You'll see this as part of our full buffer technology, TMDS reclocking. Why is that? Well, the top shows you an open eye diagram of a healthy HDMI signal. Ones and zeros, ones being the lines, zeros being the open space in between, the open eye, if you will. And beneath is after a long HDMI run, you see the ones and zeros aren't clearly defined ones and zeros anymore to the sync device, the television at the end. And in the HDMI world, as you all know, there is very little threshold for loss. You may end up with a few digital sparkles on the screen, which are indicative of a lost pixel, which manifest as a lost pixel. If you get these ones and zeros, they look more like squiggly lines. And what our products do is reclock, because the signal coming into our product and the signal going out of our product, it might not be perfect coming in. Going out, we want it to be brand new. So look for the TMDS reclocking feature. Now you know how we polish that video and audio layer. What was the other layer? One of the other two layers is EDID. Again, imagine a simplistic world where your television is connected directly to your source, whether it be a consumer source like a Blu-ray player or a professional source like a laptop. The monitor, the projector, the television always gives a digital file to the source that says, here is a list of my supported resolutions, for example, top down, not just the top, not just I'm 1080p, it will say 1080p, 1080i, 720p, etc., top down, audio formats, video formats, and in fact in the HDMI world, this EDID, this handshake is extremely complex, and there are many, many opportunities for a misread, of course. Okay? So it is not always so simple. It is quite complex in the digital world. It includes serial numbers, color spacing information, all sorts of things. And in the one-to-one world, it is pretty successful. There are still even opportunities for misreads in the one-to-one world. What we do in our products, all of our hardware and all of the products you'll see today here have a feature called EDID control, where on all of these you'll have a table that you could choose from. Across the line for all of our product range, you're going to choose that EDID in one of three ways. One of them is, like you see in the bottom left, you're going to have a 16 position rotary where you can access 15 different default EDID files. These are 15 files that our engineers have been developing for the past 10 years, and as more and more standards are released, this library will continue to grow. These are the formats that we've developed that are extremely generic, making all the assortment, the wide assortment of displays we have in our lab. Very happy with picture and audio, etc., making the sources which receive this handshake happy, outputting signal. And you see, you always have the option 0 to copy from the connected output, right? Imagine these extenders, transmit to receive. If you ever want to just send that handshake through as if it were just an HDMI cable, we copy that. We don't allow it to pass through. Why? You don't want to rely on the display. You want a professional piece of equipment in line to copy that handshake from the connected television. We store it in our software. We relay it to the source at all times, regardless of if the TV is on or off, for example. So that's one of the benefits of why we copy. We don't allow for direct one-to-one communication. And then from there you have your every video format with 3 audio formats accompanying that. 2-channel audio, 5.1 Dolby and DTS, and HD, that's your 7.1 Dolby and DTS, where your Dolby Atmos lives, for example, on that HD audio format, 1080i, 1080p, 4K at 30 frames per second. And of course, as we talked about earlier, the new generation of 4K, a lot of 4K 60 contents, well, not yet, but a lot of 4K at 60 content coming, they say. And additionally, we have DVI handshakes for your computer sources that may not want the HDMI color spacing. So through the click position, 16 different positions, or through an IR code on the Champion Series switchers, for example, we see what is practically the same EDID library. And you would just use the IR remote control, and you press R2, then R1, then R3, and then 2 digits from the numerical keypad. And then finally, some of our other products allow you to send this command over RS-232 TCP/IP commands or through their device manager GUI-driven PC software. So you always have the option of choosing all these different handshakes or copying from a connected device, which leads us now to the third layer of the HDMI signal, which we introduce you to. HDCP. This is the dreaded HDCP, right? Dreaded. Why dreaded? Well, it's a 4-letter word. So has everything else been, though. This is, this is a fact of life now, HDCP. You in the AV world have grown accustomed to HDCP. This was the part that folks really didn't like as the analog sunset occurred and the digital sunrise occurred. Because HDCP has to actually be considered two ways, and one of these two ways was quite a surprise to a lot of manufacturers out there. HDCP number one, the fact of life that we're all pretty much accustomed to now, is that an HDCP encrypted source or content, and in other words, a source device that outputs any content produced from Hollywood studios, for example, cable boxes, Blu-ray players, and now you're getting into these media streamers, for example. They have the need to have their HDCP satisfied over the software, and that's basically the source asks the display, are you HDCP compliant? In other words, are you going to pirate my content? And the display must return and say, no, I'm not going to pirate your content. You can output. Here is your compliancy. Now, we see it on the consumer devices, but we don't really see it on the professional devices like laptops and PCs and that kind of things typically. But all HDMI connectors, regardless of if it's on a consumer device or a professional device, all HDMI connectors support HDCP and could support HDCP if that encryption was added to this, to the signal, if you will. So the copyright protection, are you going to pirate? No, I'm not going to pirate. That handshake, that communication exchange is what is known as a key exchange, and that is what was a surprise to a lot of people out there, because there are many devices out there that say that have a limited amount of keys, meaning there are potential pitfalls in the field if you are using a piece of hardware which doesn't handle the key management properly. In other words, if you use a black box that's, let's just call it the dirty word, a splitter, for example, a splitter, and that splitter doesn't manage HDCP properly, well, your HDCP encrypted source content will see, oh, there are 8 displays viewing me right now, and if that source doesn't have 8 keys, which cost money, folks, that you will not get a picture on all 8 displays. Now, KeyDigital does things differently. We handle the HDCP authentication to the source. Yes, we are HDCP compliant. And if we rewind a moment, we also gave the EDID information to the source, telling it, hey, we're your television, and here's what you should output. And for all that source is concerned, we are its display. Our KeyDigital hardware is the display for that source, which makes it like a one-to-one connectivity. And that's how KeyDigital is able to distribute HDMI signals in very large proportions, doing our retail showrooms across the U.S. and across the world, for example, with some locations with over 100 displays. Not a problem. One key is all you need with KeyDigital. Now, those 3 layers of HDMI have been the 3 layers we here have been preaching for years and years and years. And just recently, we began adding a new feature to these products. That is hot plug detection. It is a voltage. Imagine again the simplistic world of one-to-one. I'm a pretty lazy guy. At my house, I'm pretty sure my Blu-ray player is on 24/7. My TV's not on 24/7. And my Blu-ray player should not be outputting a signal if my television is off. Even though the power is on the Blu-ray, it shouldn't be outputting a signal. Why? Because it is more intelligent than that. This is digital, not analog, and it knows if it has a partner or not, because they will exchange this voltage hot plug detection well before the EDID information is exchanged, well before the HDCP information is exchanged, we say, hey, there's a live partner here. And we do this because some sources, if they don't receive hot plug detection, some displays, if they don't receive voltage, won't output a signal or won't even show you a signal. You'll get that message on the television which says, no signal detected. So we allow you to force that hot plug detection with this feature that we will show you. All of these tools built into KeyDigital's full buffer technology, whether it's regardless of whether it's a consumer or professional display, we handle all of these things independently, individually, exchanging the HDCP key managing the keys and authenticating the source more appropriately, authenticating the displays. Hey, I have HDCP encrypted contents for you. Are you HDCP compliant, Mr. or Mrs. Monitor? TMDS, oh, that signal came in rather lousy. Let's reclock that signal. And EDID, handshake, providing the source with its information of what it should output, source complies, or even asking the connected display, what is your handshake, so we can be more accommodating to that display in the case of it being very old or very new, who knows. We can ask it what it wants and tell the source that it should output that. We have to cover that crucial foundational information before we get into these products, because you're going to see how we integrate that and how we give you these tools so in the field you can make your job a success with all of these products. And cat wire in between. This cat wire is this bridge, isn't it? It's a bridge between network guys and AV guys. It's a bridge between security guys and AV guys. And girls. It allows us to do extremely long lengths. You're going to see some products here that could go 600 feet. When I first started with KeyDigital, 50 feet, 1080p was the maximum distance. We're now going a dozen times that length. Starting with a brand new release that comes in two flavors. These are the KDX200 family. The two flavors it comes in, X200 Pro K. Pro is professional, K is 4K support. We try to make the nomenclature simple. And KDX200 POHK. Power over HDBaseT. The POH means that your transmit side is the only side with a power supply, as you can see in this image. Now, very important note, it is a different power supply from the one included in the Pro version. I'm going to rewind, and you're going to look right at the power supply connector on the transmit unit, and you'll see 5 volt 2 amp on the Pro version, and on the POH version, 12 volt 2 amp. Keep that in mind. It has happened before that people do this. So there's two flavors there, and these are the products which are the newest generation of our extremely cost-effective HDBaseT products, but not just cost-effective like, hey, here you go, and give you no options. Oh no, there are features and tools galore in this. These products have full HDCP 2.2 compliancy. There is the POH on the POH version. These products utilize what is called a light HDBaseT chipset. HDBaseT, everybody loves it, but there are two flavors, a category A, which is a long run HDBaseT. That was actually the initial spec. It came out at 100 meters. At the time, it was 1080p at 100 meters, for example. And not all jobs needed that. So at a lesser price point, they released the Class B chipset, which gives you slightly lesser distance, 125 feet at 4K, 230 feet at 1080p, which is plenty of distance in many, many applications. Now these products not only send the HDMI and video and audio, but also IR or RS-232. In fact, you see it. It could be bidirectional IR, meaning, or two channels of IR. It kind of depends on how you want the terminology to be, because there are from TX to RX, an IR in corresponding to an IR out, and from RX to TX, an IR in corresponding with the IR out. Or you could use it for RS-232, in which case on the TX and the RX, your IR out is your RS-232 channel. On a 3.5 millimeter connector. Now, you may notice on the RX side, the 3.5 millimeter connector, which says IR in, it says sensor. Why does it say sensor? Because this supports the ability to plug an IR sensor directly in, where previous generations of KeyDigital products required an IR connecting block. You can actually plug directly into the IR with the sensor that is included in the box, so that if you have a simple application where you're just putting those source devices, such as a cable box, out of sight, out of mind, and your client wants to have the standard factory IR remote control in their hand, you can do so. An IR sensor and an IR emitter, both included in the box. And as we mentioned before, the full buffer technology, TMDS reclocking, EDID control, HDCP authentication, and that hot plug detection, HPD, force on, are all possible with this product. And even a feature called RS-232 control mode. So what does this mean and how do we do it? You saw the blue rotary on the transmit unit. It says control. That 16 position rotary, similar to the EDID control rotary, dictates 3 different parameters of settings or functionality for the product. For example, IR out. Is that IR out port used for RS-232 or IR, connecting your IR emitter? And is that RS-232 a pass-through to control, say, a connected device, like a television, a monitor, projector? Or, as we see in settings 8 and 9 here, are we controlling the KD X200 unit itself? I will show you the commands that are possible for you to send the X200. Similarly, you could even upgrade the firmware through that port, and it's all selectable on that control rotary. We take a look at our third column, or second column, however you want to say it, which we have the ability to choose hot plug detection control. Now, again, hot plug is the voltage. By default, we just let that bypass through us. We connect the pin number 19 it is on your HDMI connector. We allow that contact to go through from RX to TX, for example, TX to RX, and we allow these devices to just keep on sending that voltage. But again, you may have many layers of connectivity. That's the world we live in. That's the world you live in. You may have a device that doesn't really play well with the HPD, hot plug detection, and it's just decided not to output voltage, and then your whole system could be down. We've seen it before. So set your control rotary to 2 or 3, 6 or 7, A, B, E or F to get that hot plug detection activated inside of our devices. And then finally, the EDID control. Now this product's a little bit unique. You have the full EDID control table as we see on the left-hand side and as I described to you previously. However, in order to choose one of those defaults, if you wanted to change from 1080p to 4K, for example, you have to do that actually via RS-232 with the X200. The default, the double D fault of the EDID, double D, default of the EDID, double D of the EDID, okay, is actually number 4 there, 1080p with 2-channel audio. Of course, if you got a 4K display and you want to allow that handshake to go through, you would just do a copy, wouldn't you? That's no problem. But what if you wanted to do something, the 4K, set it up to 4K 30, 4K 60 in our product as our default, our internal software, you would have to send us an RS-232 command to adjust that. Here are all of the RS-232 commands we give you for the X200. That's right, these balance don't only extend control, they are controllable devices. The transmit unit of all of the products you'll see here today, fully controllable. We look at the help command. For those of you familiar with KeyDigital products, you get a USB to serial cable out and you've got your terminal software on your computer such as TerraTerm, PuTTY, or HyperTerminal. You set it up for 57,600 baud rate, which is flexible. And you send us the letter H, as you all know, you're going to get a response from our unit that tells you all of the RS-232 commands you could send us. That is called the help command. We have the EDID. If you could follow my mouse here, let's go to highlighter mode. Here's your adjustment for EDID. Send the command SPC EDID XX. What is XX? It's whatever we had before here, the value you desire. The value you desire from this table. Right? That's how you change it. You could adjust the baud rate in the case that the transmitter is located away from your control system and you want it to be something slower so it could go further. You can turn on debug mode, a very valuable tool. This debug mode, it allows us to change where the HDCP is authenticated from our device to the display or vice versa. Why? Because we find that most, again, HDCP is a fact of life. Displays now support HDCP. Your HDMI ports on your devices all support HDCP. Of course, I'm not the one to guarantee that, but it's a fact of life any longer, isn't it? We find that if there's HDCP problems in your system, it's typically based on the wiring. Some electrical interference, for example, comes in. It breaks the DDC, that's the digital data channel. And kill the HDCP. So that debug mode, very, very useful. Just like our help command, we also give you a status command. You send the letters STA, it's the first 3 letters of the word status, and you get the feedback, the status of your system. For example, how long has this system been up and running? You see that? Running day and time. Why? Because we actually have an auto reset in here as well. That is actually adjustable. And you know what? I just realized my feedback, I'm working with the original version of the RS-232, and auto reset is possible. And you can see how long it's up and running for. What is the EDID of your system? How is the voltage link? That's your voltage connectivity with the display. The HDCP compliancy of your display. If you're trying to send 2.2 content to a 1.x display, you won't get a picture. We We can tell you why. The video format, HDMI or DVI. What kind of display are we connected to, as we see in the bottom? Samsung 2014, according to the EDIT file. Hot plug detection is good, right? So this is the input and the output we give you the status on. Huge, huge tools for those of you in the field tired of having HDMI problems and not knowing why. If you run into a problem with KeyDigital, we'll tell you why, and we give you the tools to correct it. So how do you do this? See this bottom right corner, this picture of a female RS-232 to stereo? We sell those. Put those in your bag. Get yourself a USB to serial adapter. Those two tools, keep them in your bag, keep them in your van, whatever it is. That's all you need to bail yourself out of a problem. Very good. Now, on to the KDX400, which also comes in two flavors, Pro K and POHK, just as you saw before. Not going to go through all the details because it's very similar, including the fact that this is a light HDBaseT chipset. It gives you the full buffer technology with the TMDS reclocking, EDID, HDCP, HPD. What's different about this, though, than the 200? Two main differences. Number one, your RS-232 and your IR are on completely separate ports, so you don't have to choose IR or RS. So if you'd like to extend control to a device plus talk to the transmit unit to collect status, is my monitor up, or to collect status of the system or command our unit. And the other main difference, is that there are two blue rotaries because the dimensions are slightly larger on the 400 than on the 200. So instead of having to, if you didn't like what you just heard from me, which was get yourself that USB to serial adapter, get yourself a female RS-232 to 3.5 millimeter that KeyDigital can sell, that you or your guys can fabricate, that is sold at a basic computer supply store. If you don't like that I told you that, that's fine. Purchase the 400s instead of the 200s. Or purchase the brand new 411s. So this is our third set. By the way, really huge to note, all KeyDigital extenders are sold as a pair. So when you look at the prices of KeyDigital products, remember that, because there are a lot of our competitors sell, transmit, and receive separately. You might think we're a lot more money than they are. We might not be. In fact, a lot of these products, those 200s, for example, extremely, extremely competitive. And so just know that you're buying a pair, transmit plus receive, and it's less confusion that way also, isn't it? So we came from the 400 to the 411. What have we added with the 411? Well, the 400 did not, repeat, the 400s do not support HDCP 2.2. They do support 4K of a 1.x 4K, not a 2.2 HDCP compliancy. The X411s have just come out and they do support HDCP 2.2. Additionally, on your transmit unit, you see left, right on a 3.5 and digital on a PCM coax audio De-Embed. You have the IR and RS-232 on separate ports, except for now that RS-232, once again, on a 3.5 millimeter port. The full 4 features of the full buffer technology and the RS-232 control mode as well. So in the light HDBaseT chipset, to review, the X200 support HDCP 2.2. The X400s have separate RS and IR ports and two different rotaries for control and EDID. The 411s support HDCP 2.2 and also give you an audio de-embed at your transmit unit. Now, that de-embed, very, very important to note, is not ARC, not audio return channel. This is a de-embedded signal of your HDMI input device, not audio return channel from the display. We know a lot of you guys would like that. We're developing it. Hopefully it'll come out. The thing is, though, is that HDBaseT, this technology I've been praising and everything, and it is unbelievably great technology, extremely reliable. It's made HDMI extension over cat wire just, you know, so much better than what it used to be. But it doesn't support ARC. So, out of the light chipset to the Class A chipset, we go into the KDX600. Now, there's only one version of this. There's no ability to do the POH, Power over HDBaseT. You have power supply needed on both sides with the X600, and this gives you some really cool features built in for those really high-end projects or those jobs that just need to do it all. You have a feature called long-range mode. Now, long-range mode and standard mode are your two modes of operation, as we'll show you in a slide in just a few moments. Standard mode is what it's going to be set at out of the box. Why? Standard mode supports 1080p. Standard mode supports 4K. The maximum distance is about 100 meters, so depending on your cat wiring. By the way, all of these extenders will give you great distance performance. I've been speccing a third-party cat wire distance, but if you use KeyDigital's cat wire, KD Cat 6 STP1X is what it's called as a spool, you're going to get some real distance increases. For example, you'd actually get 400 feet 4K and 600 feet 1080p with this product. So you get an HDMI pass-through port on it, which enables it to become daisy chainable, meaning your transmit to receive extension, the receive could feed the next transmit, the pass-through could feed a monitor, and then the cat can feed the input, right? Also has Ethernet control. Ethernet extension. So many of the devices now are IP controllable, and all you really need is network ports for that, right? Well, this will extend that network signal. So if you need to get internet from point TX to point RX, if you need to get IP control from TX to RX, if you have some media streamers that require network connectivity, the 600 is the part for you. So this is a real absolute powerful product. And now we've introduced the 611. So if you notice, everything from once we got to the 400s is 400, 411, 600, 611, and the 11 gives you the 2.2 HDCP compliancy and an audio de-embed to go along with all of those great features that the 600 deliver. Long-range mode, HDMI pass-through, Ethernet extension, controllable over RS-232. So we look here, and this is the control rotary table for the 600s, and actually for the 611 as well. And you can see on the far right here that writerist extension column of our control rotary table. It says extension mode. That is how you toggle between standard mode or long range mode. Now, somebody has asked the question, many people ask the question, why wouldn't I just flip it to long range mode? The answer is long range mode does not support 4K. Long range mode supports a maximum resolution of 1080p. I'll say it again. Standard mode supports 4K and 1080p, but gives you a lesser maximum distance than long range mode, which supports 1080p maximum resolution. You could choose your IR in mode as well. IR in sometimes is coming directly off of a control system. We call that serial IR, where it's a hardwired IR in. Or if you're going to be using an IR sensor, those sensors are typically a stereo plug on their 3.5, right? Where a control system would just be mono for IR, an IR sensor stereo. Why? Signal, yes, IR signal. Ground of that signal, yes, but you also need that IR sensor to be powered. And in order to do so, you flip it to that IR sensor mode. RS-232, pass-through or control, firmware update, as you see, and all of these great statuses and feedbacks and the help command with the debug. Look on the 600s and 611s. I could even turn on or off the cat port, turn on or off the HDMI pass-through. So you can control our transmit as part of your automation system. Turning on and off displays, for example. Let me tell you something. I just worked with somebody yesterday who had Sony 4K displays. I think it was 4K, I'm not sure. But it was a new Sony system, or television, that had many of these things. And there was a problem. That is, whenever they went to their native streaming services, the web apps and the television, and then they try to toggle back to the HDMI input off of the matrix, they didn't have video sync any longer on these new Sony XPRs. They didn't have any video sync. Guess what he did? He sent our units the Cat5 on command. He didn't even have to turn it off. He just sent it on again. And what happens when you turn on, or when you initiate that connectivity? That voltage went through. And for some reason, the Sonys, they didn't do as well as the other displays in the system, the Samsungs, for example. And we're in no way, shape, or form partial, right? We're the guys that get the call when tech support happens. It's not likely you're going to get some high-end HDMI knowledge by calling a big box company. So we sent the on command, and it didn't even do so much as make a picture loss if you sent it twice. If the video was up and running and you sent on again, so the customer put it in all of his macros, problem solved. Here are your daisy chain examples. Daisy chain is possible on the 600 or 611 at 4K or 1080p. Of course, your distances are all that will differ. So here's our example. We'll take a look at the larger image, the 1080p source, outputs, signal. We could use an HDMI cable up to 20 feet long coming in. And the pass-through feeds a local monitor where your Cat5 then feeds the next unit as we follow down. That RX HDMI doesn't feed the monitor there. No, it feeds the next transmit with a cable up to 20 feet away if needed. And that pass-through feeds that monitor. And it continues. Now we've done these up to 6 monitors before. And we tested up to 8. If you need more than that, you just let us know at KeyDigital, tech@keydigital.com. It's how you submit those inquiries over to us. So all of these products All of these troubleshooting tools built into each and every each and every product enables you ensures you go out there with these products, you go out there with your PC, USB to serial adapter, and a female RS-232 to stereo. That's it. You're going to be done. So of course there are products out there cheaper. There's always someone who will do it cheaper. And with that, we will let you spend the next minute or two sending questions to us. Please don't be shy. If you have a question in mind, it is likely that some of the other folks attending this webinar or watching it in the future, yes, we will post it to our YouTube channel. That probably prevented a few of the questions already. Yes, we post all of these videos to our YouTube channel. Just give it a few days' time and it'll be up there. So please submit your questions, because if you have questions, it is very likely that someone else does as well. I hopefully did a good job explaining everything to you. However, just by nature of research and implementing our products into your designs, we know there will be questions. Please send them over to us to tech@keydigital.com. Again, tech@keydigital.com. And we'd be happy to get those answered for you. So, without further ado, I bid you adieu. Thank you very much for attending KeyDigital webinar series. We will see you next time. Have a great day.